I'm going to show you how to make great bread, like the sourdough, the king of bread, made with natural yeast. I'm going to explain to you how to capture the wild yeast around us, create your own ferment to create great bread with great crust, great flavor. Also, we're going to make some brioche, the queen of breakfast, the brioche. Fantastic for breakfast or endless thing you can do with it. It tastes fantastic, full of eggs, full of butter, full of flavor. And mixing technique, I'm going to show you the way of mixing the dough to get a nice light dough, and also a lot of tips how to bake, how to use your oven properly. Now I'm going to show you how to mix brioche. The brioche is mixed in two stages. The first, we're going to mix our dough. When the dough is made, then we add the butter into it to make it all nice, smooth and silky. Right, we got our flour. I'm going to put the yeast on the side there. Our sugar. Salt. First thing first, we're going to cover the salt and sugar a little bit. Then get our yeast and rub the yeast into the flour. Okay, then you mix all your flour, your sugar, your salt, your yeast very well together before we put the eggs. Now, we're going to add our eggs, 6 eggs. I'm going to mix all the ingredients to get the dough ready to be worked. Blend everything really well together with our scraper. Make sure you work all those ingredients really well together. It's all mixed really, really well. There's no dry bits onto it. Okay, now this is ready to go on the table, and we're going to start to work the dough to get it nice and light. So when you mix the dough, get all the dough together. Use your finger to pinch the dough underneath, to lift it like little forks. And then your thumb has got to be parallel with your 4 fingers. And you can lift the dough and swivel and slap it down. Get a nice rhythm, and very quickly you see the dough start to form and become less and less sticky. And make sure every so often you give it a good scrape. beautiful color, rich of eggs. And that's before the butter goes in. It's good exercise. This should take about 8 to 10 minutes with a bit of practice. Seems like hard work, but brioche is very rewarding. Best breakfast. It's very important your dough is very well worked before you add your butter into it. Otherwise, it will take even longer to work with your butter in. So don't be impatient to put your butter in. Just work it well at the first stage. It will be quicker with your butter in. You can see now the dough start to come off quite nicely off the table. There's a nice bubble appearing there. It's a good sign the dough's developing nicely. Right, we're going to put the butter into the dough now. So you get your butter like that and push it into the dough. Right, mix everything together like that. Just push the butter in with your finger, like so. It might look a bit messy, but you'd be surprised how quickly all that butter will incorporate itself into the dough. Use your scraper again and start to work the dough again as you did earlier. And very quickly, all that butter will go into the dough. That should take about 5 to 6 minutes now. You can really feel the dough coming alive in your finger. Okay, we're nearly there now. I'm breaking a bit of a sweat. Dough is really start to get that beautiful silkiness and shine on the top there. Just a few more go and we should be there. Beautiful. It's coming off my hand, nice and clean now. Right, this ready now. Voila. Just a little flour on the table and in a bowl. Then you turn the dough over like so and give it a few folds. And then we're going to fold it again and then put it back to rest in a cool place for 14 hours. Okay, first thing we do, I'm going to take the dough, As you can see, the dough has been rested for 14 hours now, overnight in a nice cool place. Okay, should lightly dust our table with a bit of flour, like so. Right, now we can turn the dough over with the help of our little scraper. You can see very well the texture of the dough now. See how beautiful it is. Right, before we divide the dough, what we need to do is to condition the dough to be nice and strong, to be easier to divide. To do so, you just fold it over once, press a little bit like that, fold it again over the top, like so, and then this is now ready for dividing. Okay, when you divide your dough, I use a small digital scale, and what I do for small, we're going to divide this into 70 grams. So what you want to do is divide in two first, you'll find it much easier, and then try to get as little less bit as possible if you can. That's a bit too much there. Perfect. Try to keep everything nice and neat. Next, we're going to mold the dough in a little bowl. To do that, I'm going to take the excess of flour out. When you roll your little piece of dough, make sure they're nice and tight. This will give you a nice rise when you bake them. Okay, that's the last one now. Just gentle pre-molding there. Now I'm going to show you how to mold some little brioche à tête and brioche loaf as well. Okay, now what I'm going to do is remold them nice and tight and do the brioche in a mold first. So I'm going to put some one in here, another one there. And you can put 6 or 7 pieces in there, as you wish. This one here. Beautiful. Right, now I'm going to mold a little brioche à tête. You should remold them lightly. Don't press too hard. This is nice and smooth. And then you got in your hand a tiny bit of flour. And then roll a little head, just that. Not too deep. And then you can press that little head into the body. Shell is well tucked in. There we go. Here we are, we've got our little brioche à tête in here. This is ready to go to prove now. That will take around 2 hours before they go in the oven. The brioche now have been proving for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm just put the last touch of egg wash on it. So in here I've got whole eggs beaten up with a pinch of salt. Just make sure you don't put any egg too much down to the side, otherwise it might stick to the mold. Très bien. Right, our brioches are baked now. Beautiful golden color. Look at this. Look at that. Beautiful, okay? Want to eat them. Look at the inside of that. Fantastic. Best breakfast. Okay, to make your sourdough bread, first you got to create a culture. The way I make my culture, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I got some very good strong organic flour, and then some spelled flour, organic spelled flour. Some very good quality honey. And some warm water, and that's all. Okay, now what we're going to do is to mix all the ingredients together to make a thick dough. That's going to be rested after that for 24 to 48 hours. So mix your ingredients really, really well together with a wooden spoon. You can smell the honey, it's fantastic. Just do like a very, very thick batter. Voilà. Keep all the dough nicely together to the center of the bowl.